Hello and welcome to Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's take a look at the headlines we are tracking at 10 a.m. Centre seeks report from UP government over alleged migration of Hindus from Kairana. State government alleges BJP trying to polarize for political gains. President Mukherjee holds talks with his counterpart during visit to Ivory Coast. India promises assistance to African nation for developing economy and infrastructure. All states except Tamil Nadu on board to pass the GST Bill, says Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, rules out constitutional cap on the rate. Heavy rain alert issued for Uttarakhand from today. Rains in several parts of northern India bring down temperatures. And US President Barack Obama calls for added restriction on access to weapons. However, says lone actors of small terrorist cells are very hard to detect and prevent. Well, our top focus this morning remains on the alleged Kairana exodus. The centre has sought a detailed report from the Uttar Pradesh government on the alleged migration of Hindus from Kairana in the state. The state government, however, has alleged that the BJP is trying to fan communal tension ahead of assembly elections next year.
The centre seeking a detailed report from the Uttar Pradesh government on the alleged migration of Hindus from Kairana village in the state. Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav also briefing Governor Ram Nayak over the matter. He later alleged that the BJP is trying to vitiate the atmosphere in the state.
जो लोग 15 साल पहले चले गए, 10 साल पहले चले गए, वो काम की वजह से चले गए, कुछ हमारी सरकार बनने से पहले चले गए, लेकिन आरोप ये कि समाजवादी लोगों ने हमने उन्हें भगा दिया। मैं समझता हूँ ये लोग साजिश कर रहे हैं, षड्यंत्र कर रहे हैं, चुनाव से पहले ये मुद्दा ढूंढ रहे हैं। मथुरा में कामयाब नहीं हो पाए, अब ये कैराना ढूंढ रहे हैं।
The man who raised the issue of alleged Hindu exodus, Member of Parliament Hukum Singh, now says it was not a Hindu-Muslim issue but an issue of migration. He had last week released a list of 346 people and said they had fled Kairana, a Muslim-majority place in western Uttar Pradesh, because of threats and extortion.
मेरी तरफ से कोई राजनीति नहीं हो रही। 2012 में विधानसभा का चुनाव हुआ था और 2013 में ये घटनाएं शुरू हो गई थी। अब 2013 में तो 4 साल थे चुनाव में, हम सोचे कि बैठते कि नहीं, जब हम 2016 में उठाएंगे इस बात को। 2013 में हमारे बयान और हमारे सभी लोगों के बयान असेंबली में होते थे। हम बार बार सरकार से मांग करते सुरक्षा का इंतजाम कीजिए, गुंडों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई कीजिए। गुंडे और स्वच्छंद होते गए, उनकी संख्या बढ़ती गई, उनकी हिम्मत बढ़ती गई, उनको संरक्षण बढ़ता गया और जब आज पॉइंट ऑफ नो रिटर्न आ गया, लोग तो कहते हैं यू टर्न। मैं यू टर्न देने वाला नहीं हूँ, मैं सामने लड़ने वाला, फ्रंट पे लड़ने वाला हूँ।
Even residents here say it is a major issue of law and order.
ये हिंदू मुस्लिम का है या कुछ ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, क्योंकि यहाँ लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की सिचुएशन बहुत ज़्यादा ख़राब है। एक्सटॉर्शन मांगी जानी, मर्डर हो जाना, लूटपाट हो जाना, लड़कियों से बदतमीजी हो जाना, ये जर्नल बात हो गई है।
पिछले 2-3 साल से यहाँ पे अपराध ज़्यादा बढ़ गया है। जो व्यापारी वर्ग है उसको धमकियाँ रंगदारी की ज़्यादा मिल रही हैं और वो यहाँ से पलायन कर रहे हैं।
ये सर कोई सांप्रदायिक मामला नहीं है सर, ये एक दहशत का माहौल है। यहाँ पे ना कोई सर हिंदू मुस्लिम है, लेकिन सर यहाँ से व्यापारी जा रहे हैं।
The Samajwadi Party government and the main opposition, the BSP, allege it is the BJP's attempts to create an issue ahead of the upcoming assembly polls.
इसलिए लगातार इनका प्रयास होगा, क्योंकि ये विकास की दौड़ में पीछे हो गए और अच्छे दिन लाने वाले लोग अच्छे दिन भूल गए। इसलिए ये इनको रास्ता समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। ये विकास का रास्ता भूलने वाले लोग, ये वो लोग जिन्होंने न केवल उत्तर प्रदेश में बल्कि देश में समाज को बांटने की कोशिश की हो, वो लोग आज उत्तर प्रदेश में आकर के माहौल ख़राब करना चाहते हैं। मैं समझता हूँ यहाँ की जनता जागरूक है, समझदार है, वक्त आने पर इनको जवाब मिलेगा।
यहाँ जबरन पश्चिमी उत्तर प्रदेश के कैराना क्षेत्र के कुछ लोगों का पलायन करने का मामला कुछ ही घंटों के अंदर मीडिया आदि में जबरदस्त गर्म करके फिर यहाँ पूरे उत्तर प्रदेश में इन्होंने ऐसा प्रचार किया जैसे वहाँ मुसलमानों ने ही हिंदुओं को जबरन पलायन करने के लिए मजबूर किया हो। इतना ही नहीं बल्कि इसकी आड़ में यहाँ हिंदू मुस्लिम दंगे फिसाद कराने के भी इनकी बहुत बड़ी घिनौनी साजिश थी, ऐसा अधिकांश लोगों का ये मानना है।
The Congress too says the BJP is playing divide and rule.
कम्युनल फोर्सेस को हावी करने के लिए तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी और नरेंद्र मोदी जी के सब पूरे प्रयास हो रहे हैं। एक तरफ वो विकास की बात कर रहे हैं और उसी मंच से उनके राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष और दूसरे मिनिस्टर वो कैराना की बात करते हैं, हिंदू मुस्लिम की बात करते हैं। तो ये कौन सी जुगलबंदी तो इनमें है कि आप विकास की बात करते रहिए और हम सांप्रदायिकता की बात करते रहेंगे।
The Uttar Pradesh government has already ordered a probe into the alleged migration issue. The National Human Rights Commission has also issued a notice to the state government in this regard. Ravindra Singh Shioran's report in Kairana for Rajya Sabha TV.
And in fact, let's go across straight to Ravindra Shioran, our correspondent who travelled to Kairana to take stock of the ground situation. Ravindra, good morning. We've been hearing conflicting reports on exactly what's been happening. There is a BJP version, then there is a version coming in from the other parties. You travelled across Kairana, you spoke to a lot number of people. What is your assessment on the ground?
Good morning, Tina. As you're saying, Kairana basically is a place which is a perfect example of communal harmony in this country. Even in the last couple of years back, when we have seen in Muzaffarnagar that a huge riot took place, Kairana, which is adjacent to the Muzaffarnagar, remained untouched with the flames of that war, that riots at that time. But now, when we travel to the different area of Kairana, Kairana has been wrapped in a very uncomfortable silence. The situation, the vicissitudes has changes now, and the situation is not as good as it was earlier. What we have seen, we managed to speak to many of the people, the relatives of the people who has left the city. Some of them are saying that this is a problem of law and order. They are claiming that because of the law and order problem and the local administration, which is not helping at all. The local administration is not listening to the complaints which has been raised by the people who had to leave the city for the better fortune of their family, for the safety and security of their business and their kith and kins. Some of the relatives are saying, they have claimed that they tried to approach to the local administration many times, but the imperturbable and insouciant behavior of the local administration and the political persons also, especially those people who has been related with the ruling government, they refuse to help them, and because of any dearth and paucity of help, they had to leave the city for the better future and at least a safe and secure future for their family. Some of the people has left this place. They have gone to the nearby cities like Panipat, the Shamli, Muzaffarnagar. But the problem here, which all the political parties has been raising the issue since the present dispensation of Akhilesh Yadav has taken over in 2012. The big problem here is law and order is no doubt a problem here. Even Akhilesh Yadav has also said that because some of the incident has been reported in the past also, and they are trying to make it over. But now the politics has taken a center stage. The BSP, which is a principal opposition party in the state, has opened a scathing attack on both the political parties, the BJP and the Samajwadi Party. And they are, Mayawati has clearly leveled allegation against both the parties that they are now trying to politicize the issue, and they are trying to divide the whole community on the basis of
That's right,
religion.
And politics over the issue is something that we are going to see in the coming few days as well, at least till the assembly elections next year. Many thanks, Ravindra, for joining us and giving us those details. Moving on in the bulletin, news about the long-pending GST bill now. The NDA government has taken a step ahead in securing consensus on the crucial GST bill. In a meeting of the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers, almost all states are said to have supported the GST bill. However, no deadline has been finalized for its implementation yet.
The Goods and Services Tax Bill seems to be on the right track ahead of the monsoon session of Parliament, with all states except Tamil Nadu supporting it.
Virtually every state has supported the idea of GST. There's one state which has said that even though they have reservations on the GST, but they have how to make it implementable from their point of view, that is the state of Tamil Nadu. They have offered a few suggestions.
The finance ministers of all states met in Kolkata on Tuesday. The meeting of the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers was aimed at bringing consensus on GST. 22 states were represented at the meeting by their finance ministers. West Bengal Finance Minister Amit Mitra chaired the closed-door meeting.
The timetable really is that we will try our best to see that the constitutional amendments are approved in the monsoon session, and therefore by the end of the year we must have the CGST and the SGST legislations in place. Thereafter, the IGST legislation would require to be passed by the centre also.
However, no deadline has been set for the implementation of GST, which aims to subsume a string of state and central level levies. The government had earlier targeted to roll out the nationwide single tax regime from April 1, 2016, but the constitutional amendment bill on GST is stuck in Rajya Sabha due to opposition by the Congress party. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And President Pranab Mukherjee is currently in Ivory Coast as part of the African outreach initiatives. He met his counterpart there, during which both nations vowed to support one another in developing their economy and infrastructure. The visit also witnesses the reopening of the Exim Bank in Ivory Coast after the civil war.
President Pranab Mukherjee received a warm traditional welcome as he arrived at the Ivory Coast on the second leg of his three-nation Africa tour. President Mukherjee was received at the airport by his counterpart, President Alassane Ouattara. President Mukherjee held bilateral talks with his counterpart and delegations where both nations agreed to share their respective resources for the development of its people.
Excellency, Ivory Coast has, thanks to your dynamic leadership, transformed into an economic engine of growth for the entire West African region. I take the opportunity to commend your tireless efforts in bringing peace and stability to your country. Your country is blessed with fertile soil and abundant agricultural and mineral resources. Our public and private sectors are keen to join you in exploring these resources efficiently and in setting up agro-based industries.
President Mukherjee extended his gratitude to the President of Ivory Coast for keeping steady economic growth. It is a maiden visit by President of India to the Ivory Coast and is seen as India's outreach to Africa. Both nations signed an agreement to reopen the Exim Bank in Ivory Coast, which was relocated to Dakar, West Africa during the civil war.
Basically, Exim had started its regional office here in 1992. Then it had moved out and they had only one office left in South Africa. So today in front of the two presidents, they signed the agreement on, it is called what? Agreement of siège. Accord de siège. Accord de headquarters agreement, literally. Basically where the host government gives you various facilities as an international institution. So that includes a bit of diplomatic immunity, yes, a few privileges, etc. So that was signed today. So Exim Bank, of course, is quite happy.
In a symbolic gesture, the President will receive the key of Abidjan city, the economic capital and the largest city of the Ivory Coast. It has been the fastest growing economy with 9% growth for the past 4 years.
India will remain a steadfast partner in assisting your country in its economic development and growth. Over years of working together closely for the benefit of our peoples, our two governments have developed a successful framework for our bilateral cooperation. We would be happy to join your government in developing the infrastructure that you require in the different sectors of your growing economy. At this time, when both our nations are on the path of rapid development, there are infinite opportunities that must be seized.
President Mukherjee also promised assistance in developing economy and infrastructure and said India looks forward to infinite opportunities that coexist with the African nation. Ivory Coast is the biggest producer and exporter of cashew nuts to India, which procures nearly 80% of its total exports of cashew nuts. The country is now hoping to receive investment from India. Cocoa production will soon start in the Ivory Coast to compete with Switzerland and Ghana. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
We'll take a very short break here. Some more national news and all the international updates to follow on the other side.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries. Mondays, Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10:30 p.m.
Thanks for staying with us on Breakfast News. Well, Aam Aadmi Party leader and Delhi Cabinet Minister Gopal resigned on Tuesday from his post as Transport Minister, citing health reasons. Last week, Rai had requested Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to relieve him from the responsibility of Transport Department on health grounds, as he had recently undergone a major surgery. The transport portfolio has now been given to his cabinet colleague Satyendra Jain. Jain already holds key portfolios of PWD, Health, Power and Home. Last month, Gopal Rai had announced premium bus service scheme to encourage the car users to leave their vehicles and use public transport. However, the scheme came under the scanner of Delhi government's anti-corruption branch, as Lieutenant Governor Najib Jung had refused to give his go-ahead to the scheme. And liquor baron Vijay Mallya has been declared a proclaimed offender by a special PMLA court in Mumbai. The development came on a plea by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with a money laundering probe against him. Mallya has multiple arrest warrants pending against him, including a non-bailable warrant under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The ED has been wanting Mallya to join investigations in person in its PMLA probe against him and several others in the 900 crore rupees alleged loan fraud of IDBI Bank, and has virtually exhausted all legal remedies like seeking an Interpol arrest warrant and getting his passport revoked. And on the weather front, the Met Department has issued a heavy rains alert in Uttarakhand for the next 2 days. Heavy rainfall is likely at isolated places in the state, especially in Uttarkashi, Tihri, Dehradun, Almora, Nainital, Champawat and Pithoragarh districts in the following 2 days. The lower and mid hills of Himachal Pradesh also experienced rain, while the Met Department issued warning of thunderstorm and squall in mid and lower hills of the state. After its delayed arrival in Kerala, the monsoon is now expected to hit Maharashtra only after the 16th of June. In the national capital as well, mercury hovered near the normal levels, but high humidity, up to 74%, troubled the residents. The city had a high of 36.3 degrees, while the minimum temperature was recorded at 26 degrees.
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, यहाँ बीचेस में बहुत अच्छा एंजॉय कर रहे हैं हम, मौसम बहुत अच्छा है। ऐसा मौसम तो हमें हिमाचल वगैरह में या कहीं और मिलता है, पर गोवा में मौसम बहुत अच्छा है। गोवा में आने के लिए सबसे बेस्ट मौसम ये है आने के लिए।
रेनी सीजन बहुत बढ़िया है, मज़ा आ रहा है टूर का, और वैसे भी फर्स्ट टाइम आए हैं तो एंजॉय कर रहे हैं, खूब एंजॉय कर रहे हैं। सब बीच पे जा रहे हैं, मार्केट में भी गए, मार्केट भी अच्छा है, सब तरह से फुली एंजॉयड हो रहा है।
And on to some international updates now. Just a day after a mass shooting in Orlando, Florida, President Barack Obama delivered a scathing rebuke of Donald Trump's anti-Muslim rhetoric, blasting the Republican presidential nominee's immigration proposals as dangerous. Obama also urged lawmakers to place added restrictions on access to assault weapons to prevent attacks like the one that killed 50 people on Sunday.
After meeting security advisors at the Treasury Department on the Orlando shootings, President Barack Obama quickly pivoted to lash out at Donald Trump's proposed Muslim ban.
We now have proposals from the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States to bar all Muslims from emigrating to America. We hear language that singles out immigrants and suggests entire religious communities are complicit in violence. Where does this stop? The Orlando killer, one of the San Bernardino killers, the Fort Hood killer, they were all U.S. citizens. Are we going to start treating all Muslim Americans differently?
The president responded to Trump's speech on Monday, blaming the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton for policies that Trump said have helped the terrorists. Obama said such talk is dangerous and hurts U.S. efforts to win the support of moderate Muslims. He, however, said the fight against lone wolves is very hard.
These lone actors or small cells of terrorists are very hard to detect and very hard to prevent. But across our government, at every level, federal, state, and local, military and civilian, we are doing everything in our power to stop these kinds of attacks.
Obama also urged lawmakers to place added restrictions on access to assault weapons to prevent further mass shootings in the future.
If we really want to help law enforcement protect Americans from homegrown extremists, there is a meaningful way to do that. We have to make it harder for people who want to kill Americans to get their hands on weapons of war that let them kill dozens of innocents.
Campaigning in Pennsylvania, Hillary Clinton blasted Trump for suggesting that the president was signing with terrorists.
Even in a time of divided politics, this is way beyond anything that should be said by someone running for President of the United States.
Not to be left behind, Donald Trump accused President Obama of being angrier at him than he is at the man accused of killing 49 people.
I watched President Obama today, and he was more angry at me than he was at the shooter. And many people said that. Level of anger, that's the kind of anger he should have for the shooter and these killers that shouldn't be here.
Trump also lashed out at Clinton, saying she's taken money from Middle Eastern states who oppress gay people and women.
She's taken $25 million from certain countries, and much more than that when you add it up, that treat women horrendously, that kill gays.
Meanwhile, after going through his worst nightmare, a survivor of the Orlando attack, who was shot thrice, told media that he played dead to live.
And I'm just there laying down, I'm thinking, I'm next, I'm dead. So I don't know how, but by the glory of God, he shoots towards my head, but it hits my hand. And then he shoots me again, and it hits the side of my hip. I had no reaction. I was just prepared to just stay there, laying down, so he won't know that I'm alive.
The attack on Pulse nightclub in Central Florida was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history and the worst attack on the lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender community. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to France now. The knife attacker who killed a police official and his wife threatened in an online video that the ongoing Euro Cup will turn into a graveyard. The attacker, who was later killed, was also carrying a hit list of high-profile people.
Dans l'œil, on vous réserve d'autres surprises. Pour l'euro, je vous en dis pas plus. L'euro sera un cimetière. Nous aussi Hollande, Naam, je n'ai pas oublié ta phrase. Nous aussi Hollande, nous serons impitoyables. Et j'ai été impitoyable avec ce policier et sa femme.
Larossi Abala, a Frenchman who pledged allegiance to the Islamic State and stabbed a police commander to death outside his home and killed his partner, posted a video online threatening the ongoing Euro 2016 tournament. French President François Hollande saying the country will put up all means necessary to fight Islamic terrorism.
Nous aurons aussi la mobilisation maximale à l'égard de ce que peut être la menace terroriste. Nous l'avons vu depuis plusieurs mois. J'ai moi-même.
The French National Assembly held a minute's silence for the victims. French Prime Minister saying that a frontier in horror has been crossed.
Il y a l'émotion, ne doit pas passer, l'effroi, car un cap dans l'horreur a été franchi. C'est le domicile,
The 25-year-old attacker knifed a 42-year-old police commander repeatedly in the stomach on Monday evening at his home. He killed his wife and then held their 3-year-old son hostage. The attacker was later killed. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the killings in a statement released by the Amaq news agency, the group's propaganda outlet. The attacker, Abala, had spent time in jail earlier too over links with jihadist groups. He was convicted in 2013 of criminal association with the aim of preparing terrorist acts. French prosecutors have launched an anti-terror investigation into the incident.
Que la mobilisation du gouvernement est totale depuis des mois pour faire face à une menace dont nous n'avons cessé de dire qu'elle était élevée. Elle est élevée en France, elle est élevée en Europe, elle est élevée en...
Investigating officials say the attacker was also carrying a hit list of VIPs, including rappers, journalists, police officers and police officials. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And on to all the sports news now. India muffed chances galore before a deft deflection from Nikhil Thimaiya enabled them to pip South Korea 2-1 in the 36th Hero Champions Trophy hockey tournament on Tuesday. At the Lee Valley Hockey Centre, India's domination earned them the lead through the day's captain SV Sunil's 39th minute goal. South Korea equalized through brisk counter in the 57th minute, only for Thimaiya to reclaim the lead within 30 seconds with a fine deflection on Talvinder Singh's diagonal cross from left. The narrow victory ensured India stayed in the hunt for a medal in the Champions Trophy. India now have 7 points from 4 matches going into the last league fixture against world champions Australia on Thursday.
Would you believe it? Korea, having got themselves back on level terms, have conceded.
And from hockey, it's over to cricket. India and Zimbabwe will clash in the third and final ODI at Harare today. With the series already pocketed, the visitors would look for a third successive whitewash. Indian skipper MS Dhoni also gave hints on changes in the playing 11 after 2 easy wins. Dhoni said the changes are likely in the Indian batting order, as only the top 3 batsmen have got substantial time in the middle. The series has been a lopsided affair, and fans of both teams will hope for a closer contest at the Harare Sports Club today. The ODI series will be followed by 3 T20 internationals at the same venue. A win today will give India a third successive series clean sweep after the triumphs in 2013 and 2015. And that's it from us in this bulletin. Thanks for your time.